All right, so this is another activity I usually get a lot of questions about, and it's mainly just due to the fact that using Excel, or in this case, I'm going to be using Google Sheets. I do have Excel, but again, I'm going to be using Google Sheets. That way, you guys have a free way of doing this assignment instead of having to depend on whether or not you have Microsoft Office. Google Sheets is free, so I usually recommend making sure you're using Chrome and you're signed into your student account, because when you're signed into your student account, it just makes it easier for you to find it, especially if you're using Google Chrome. It's all within the Google family. So let's get started. So one thing, I don't think I've mentioned it before, but always read your comments. I usually use the brackets. Let me show you right here. If you ever get anything returned to you, I usually copy and paste this into the comments. The only issue that I've noticed is it won't show you the left column, it'll only show you the right column. So this is where I usually put down the grade and the comments on what needs to get fixed. If you ever get an assignment returned back to you, or if you want to see why you received the grade you did, you can always look at the comments section. So let's take a look here. So, given that a random flight is chosen from Atlanta, what times arrive? So, one thing you might have noticed is if you don't read uh, everything on here, you might go to that question and be a little confused. Now, the thing is, we have to take a look at this report. So don't just skip to those questions. The reason why I did it right now is to show you guys why you don't want to do that. I got to that question, didn't make any sense. So you want to make sure you're reading everything when you're doing these problems and the tutorials. So I have to look at this report. So I'm going to click it, and it's going to give me this report right here. So this is where I'm going to get a lot of my information from. Just to kind of go over it, it's just telling you like what's going on. So this is the courier of the airlines. So your Southwest, your Alaska Air, Delta, all of those airlines are here, and then the information. You're going to be using this for the assignment. So what you're going to do over here is the given that a randomly chosen flight arrives at Atlanta. So we're looking for an arrival at Atlanta. What is the probability that it gets on time? So we're going to look at the on-time arrivals. So looking at this, accidents reported, percentage of on-time arrivals, number of flights reported. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add up the number of flights reported and, oh, actually, this one looks easy because it actually gives us the percentage of on-time arrivals. We just need to find the location. So this one tells us the on-time arrivals, but we want to know if they go to Atlanta. So it's one of these charts. Here we go. Uh, Arrivals at Atlanta. So if we're choosing a random flight, so here are carriers again: Delta. What were the other ones? Well, they're all here. They just have they're abbreviated. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this. So this should be So this right here is literally what it's asking for. It's 87, and it's already given to us in percentages, so we don't have to worry about it. So this should be our answer. This is our answer, I should say. Not should be. So all we have to do here is just write that in. So a lot of these might be easy to do, but then it gets a little harder. So these are questions we can answer with the use of table 2, and that should have been something I looked at. So all of those should be answerable using table 2. So just make sure you're reading this: Chicago to airports, and that you're looking at the information on here. You might have to add some stuff up. You might have to take averages. Um, but all of that information should be there. All right, so then we're going to get to questions that are a little difficult or impossible to. And in here, you kind of have to give me a reason why it's not possible or what we would have to do in order to calculate. So, what is the probability that a randomly chosen flight arrives on time? Okay, so that one is a little harder to do because we would essentially have to figure out how many flights arrive on time. They're giving us data for the specific carrier, but we can't just like take the average because if we took the average, it's not taking into account that this one has more flights. Like, yes, this one is there 97.6% of the time, but it only has 29 flights. So in this case, it's what's known as a weighted average. I don't think we really studied that. So that's why it's difficult to do. What we would have to do is add up all the flights and figure out how many of them actually arrived on time, not the on time percentage. So we would have to see if there's one there. So that's one of the things you would have to write. You would have to write down um, write down why it's a little difficult and explain your answer there. So you definitely want to keep track of that when you're writing this down. Statistics is very subjective, so you want to like do something like you have to take the total number of flights that arrived on time from every carrier and then divide it by the total number of flights or and total number of flights from all carriers, not just the ones that arrived on time. So that's what you're doing here. What is the carrier with the highest probability of arriving on time? So again, you're going to have to describe the carriers of all locations. So here's the thing, these are just in these airports. That's one thing I failed to mention for the first one. Uh, every airport has its own like on time arrival thing. So you have to, you'll literally have to add up all the on time arrivals from all the airports and then divide it by all the flights that airplane has. So you would have to add all the total flights. And one thing, I don't think this tells us how many flights are arriving on time. I think it just gives us percentages. So that's one thing you would have to write down how you would figure it out. And then you have to compare that percentage to all of them. So again, a lot of this is using words that you would have to do. So you have to read the question and give an explanation in your own words on what you need for that information. All right, so now here's a sheet that everyone has a lot of difficulty doing. Um, table the transforming table 2, and it's because it has to do with functions of Excel. So what you have to do here is open up a spreadsheet. It's going to download a spreadsheet here. What you want to do if you do not have Excel, I have Excel so you can see that I'm able to open it, is you're going to have to go to, if you're signed in with Google, this is a lot easier because you just click on here, go to your Google Sheets, or you can type in sheets.google.com. It'll take you to the exact same thing as if you were to click these 9 little dots here and then click Google Sheets. It's the same thing whether it's sheets.google.com. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start up a brand new sheet. And depending on where it downloads, you're going to have to find it. So what you do is you do File, and you're going to open. You're going to go to Upload, click Storage Device. Mine is already set to my download. So let's say I was on desktop, I would have to go to where my things download. Luckily, it's just download. This is the sheet I just downloaded. Open it up. And here's all the data that they want me to do. I believe most of it is going to be on this modified one. They want me to modify it. So let me go into this. So it says cells that contain H slash in the original table now contain zeros. So let's take a look at this modified table. So H slash. H slash. Oh, there it is, right here. So I think they want us to figure out what these are. So we're going to look at the modified tables. So, oops, let me close this. I don't need that. I don't need this anymore. H slash. For each airport, an additional column of on time was added. So again, if you look here, there's an on time number. So this is going to help us calculate that information we didn't have before. In this case, how many number of airplanes were on time. Before, we only knew the percentage, but this is going to help us calculate. If we look here, what's happening is they are multiplying this times the percentage, and then they're kind of multiplying it by this number here. So we could theoretically just do that, but Excel has a way of letting us do that on its own. So if this is a formula, what we do is we're going to essentially just copy and paste this, and you can see that it's not what's known as an absolute cell. It's like, oh, the one to the left and the one to the right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go make sure I'm all the way at the top. I'm going to copy the entire column, and then I'm going to paste it on the cell at the very top. And that, you can see it's not the exact same numbers. It's a completely different formula. Now it says E because E is on the left, and it says G because G is on the right. And you're going to do this for all of them. So that's why it's saying you're going to copy it C8 through 22, which is what I did here. It ends at, oh, I actually did it all the way to 23, but that's fine because this is going to give you the formula anyway. So it's just going to give us a total. This isn't as important, but you're going to do this for all of them. And what you want to do, because I need to see that you did the worksheet. Oh, make sure you read all of it. I didn't read all of it. So you do this all the way until you get to KL, which is, oh, KI. KLKI. Yep. So you're going to do it all the way until you get to here for all the on time arrivals. Then there's another assignment here. So this is what they want us to do for all the on time. Then we're going to do the KL thing. So what this does is this formula is like, okay, we're going to skip three rows, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to count all of these number of arrivals. Then this one, the on-time one, is going to go skip 3 rows also and add up all of these things. So that would take us forever. But luckily, they already did a formula here. So it's like instead of us programming our own formula where it skips 3, I can copy either the on-time arrivals, number of on-time arrivals, or the number of on-time, and just paste it in. So what I'm going to do is scroll up. It locks these columns here so you can see that when I scroll down, it changes the number. So I want to make sure I'm at the very tippy top, which in this case is row 8. Copy this. So Control C or right click C when you drag all of this, paste it there, and that should finish your formula. So once you do that, it's just a matter of sharing this. So you want to make sure you go to hit File, Share. Make sure that you have this set to everyone can see it. Right now I have it set to restricted. Restricted, only people added can do it, but I can change this to, I can only change it to anyone in the Opportunities for Learning family can see it. But if you're using an outside email, you can change it to everybody. So make sure you change it to everybody. If you're using your student email, Opportunities for Learning is perfectly fine. You're going to copy your link and paste it here. So that's what you do to get this one done. And then you're going to be answering questions based off the data, just like you did with the other one. And again, later on, you're going to be applying conditional things. So this one, Gary foresees. So this, you're going to be using a lot of your combination and permutation things. I said combinatorics, so that's the study of it. So in that, you're going to be answering these questions. Oh, actually, it's just one question. All right. So you can see how to do that here. And that's it. Hopefully, this helps, guys. Feel free to leave comments below.